Today's episode is sponsored by KT Mary Photography. Stay tuned to hear about their upcoming free training series called The Art and Science of the Irresistible Photography Brand, beginning on Wednesday, October 5th. You're listening to the Wedding Biz Network, the voice of the creative entrepreneur. Hey everyone, it's Andy Kushner with The Wedding Biz, in which I conduct in-depth and revealing interviews of icons and those who I feel are the next generation icons of the weddings and event industry, all to provide you with education and inspiration. And I want to mention last week's episode, talk about inspiring. It was with Brett Culp. It was my third interview with Brett. He is an acclaimed filmmaker and social entrepreneur. We talked about embracing change, empowering others, and sparking innovation. So be sure to check that out if you missed it. Today, I'm really excited. This is my second interview with Zainab Alsalih, founder and creative director of Carousel out of Dubai. It is one of the most well-known companies in the region for event design. She is also considered one of the most respected authorities on weddings in the Middle East. Zainab has been covered and quoted in countless regional and international programs and publications in various languages, in radio, television, print, and online, including Harper's Bazaar, Martha Stewart, and Vogue. She has also been recognized on numerous occasions as one of Dubai's leading female entrepreneurs. And if you missed our first conversation back in August of 2020, it was episode number 288. Be sure to check it out. Enjoy this conversation with Zainab Alsalih. Zainab, it is so good to have you on the phone again on the show. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me again, Andy. I had a great time last time, so I'm very happy to be back.
Well, it's amazing. The last time was August 31st of 2020. And for those listening, episode 288, which you should all go listen to. It was fantastic. And it's just so hard to believe that we were like talking in the thick of it in terms of the beginning of the pandemic. I wonder, Zainab, is there anything that you learned like as a result of the experience of this whole shutdown in the pandemic that affects you both personally and how you do business today? Like how did you come out of this?
Well, it's crazy that you just said that the last time we spoke was literally 2 years ago and in the thick of it.
Crazy.
It's just been such a surreal experience. And, sometimes, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. It's like, I look back and reflect and I'm like, did that really happen? It just feels like it feels such a long time ago, but it doesn't. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's kind of one of those things, but definitely, I think we've all learned so much throughout the time that we all spent in lockdown and then the months that followed on a personal and professional level as well. I think we've all had the time to reflect. I think we've all had the time to also, revisit how we do things, whether on a personal level or a professional level. For me, I think the main thing that came out of COVID is that I realized that, even though I used to constantly feel like I wanted time off, I wanted things to slow down, is that I wasn't really happy when things slowed down. So what I realized is that I do love what I do, and I do love being busy, and I do love the fast pace. I know a lot of people might think that, we don't want to go back to that pace again. We enjoyed the slowdown. But for me, I kind of felt it was the opposite. I kind of missed that fast-paced life that we had, even though it was nice to have the time to spend with family and to prioritize things. And I think it's also helped me realize that I can prioritize better and I can spend time with my family and give time to myself and also run my business and be there for my clients.
Well, and that's, in terms of the family part of it, any of us who are entrepreneurs, and have a family, that balance is so delicate. And here we are working all during the week. Then we have these events on the weekends. I think that's one of the biggest challenges of all.
Absolutely. It's like striking that balance, which sometimes is difficult because, again, we can't really control a lot of the events and weddings that we get. They all come in one go. Like it's really we're either not doing anything or we're doing everything at the same time. And I think it's that when it's slower, then you enjoy it. When it gets really busy, then you're able to handle it. But at the end of the day, everybody's got different priorities and how they're able to achieve that balance. I think for me, the most important thing that I've learned is that when I do have that slow kind of, week or month, is that I'm present and I do enjoy it, because I know that in a week or two or in a month, I'm going to get really busy and I won't be able to enjoy the downtime. So I think I'm more present and I'm more grateful for any opportunity I get to focus on my family or myself.
Well, has business come back for you in the Middle East?
Absolutely. This is technically our first normal season since I would say, our season back in 2020 before COVID hit. We are extremely busy. Events are back with a vengeance. And, we've had to postpone this 3 times, Andy. So,
right. Yeah, you're that busy.
Yes, exactly. So, I came back from summer vacation and we had to hit the ground running. So we see events coming back to pre-COVID levels. Corporate is coming back in full swing as well, because I think companies have had to, hold back for so many years, like when it came to events and their marketing budgets. So I feel that now that we're back to in-person events and there are no restrictions anymore, they really want to reconnect with their customers and their clients, and they kind of want to, get back into events. So that's a big market for us at the moment.
Well, and I know that everything is bigger, like particularly in Dubai. Have weddings and corporate events changed now that we're back? Is it even bigger? I mean, is it really going crazy? How is it?
Do you know something interesting? I did notice that when it comes to weddings in particular, people are still keeping them relatively smaller in number than they used to. We are back to the big weddings. We're talking about the 600 people, 800 people. But I find that a lot of people actually like the fact that, when we were doing smaller weddings, it was okay to do smaller weddings and people enjoyed them more. So I get clients that say, even though there are no restrictions on numbers, we really would want a more intimate wedding now. So we're still doing smaller weddings. And some people are wanting to hang on to that a little bit longer.
Well, and I know from our last conversation on the show that how much you love to get to know your clients and weave their personal story into their celebration, which you do so brilliantly. Can you tell me about 1 or 2 weddings that you've planned and designed that occurred in the past year or two? Again, in terms of how you were able to learn about their story and weave it into the design and the whole concept of the event?
Yeah, let me just take a look back and think of the weddings that we've done in the past couple of years. So one, I think, of my favorite weddings that I did was in December of 2020. And that was actually, she's actually a very good friend of mine and is a social media influencer here in Dubai. Her wedding got postponed several times because, of course, of COVID. And until she finally decided that she did want to go ahead, but with a very intimate wedding. So it was for 25 people. And, she's born and raised in Dubai. And I wanted to give her, that intimate wedding, but with a very striking backdrop. So we actually were able to get a terrace downtown Dubai with a direct view of the Burj Khalifa. And, it just doesn't get more glamorous than that here in Dubai. So even though it was a very intimate wedding, her backdrop was the most spectacular backdrop in Dubai. And, because she's also born and raised here in Dubai, and even though her husband is not from here, it was very relevant that she was kind of in the center of Dubai and downtown Dubai surrounding her. And it was a very, very magical experience that night. And she had really all the people that mattered to her there.
Wow. This October, luxury destination wedding and editorial photographer KT Mary is pulling back the curtain on what it takes to build an irresistible brand and reputation in her free 3-part workshop series, The Art and Science of the Irresistible Photography Brand. KT will uncover the common mistakes standing in your way from booking your dream clients, debunk what goes through the mind of the luxury client, and reveal the 5 essential elements of an irresistible brand. Now you can take actionable steps in mastering both your artistry and your business as a photographer or creative. Say no to clients that are untrusting, disorganized, and frankly not your style. Create a portfolio that reflects your unique artistic aesthetic and attracts your dream jobs. Unlock your creative potential and get the financial freedom you deserve. Have a business that aligns with your personal values. So join KT Mary live for the art and science of the irresistible photography brand, a free 3-part workshop by signing up at ktmaryeducation.com/wedding-biz. The first workshop begins on October 5th, so register now. Again, that's KT Mary, KTMERRY education.com/wedding-biz. I also want to ask too, during the pandemic, one of the things that we had to all deal with was accepting all these virtual meetings versus in person. And I know that at least for me, we had no choice. So, okay, fine. But I just recently, Zainab, I started having more in-person appointments. I've been to New York City for appointments. I'm in Washington, D.C. I've had now some here. It just is different. It's so much better. I realize that, obviously it's more convenient to be virtual. I did enjoy that aspect of it. I was able to stay in my house. I didn't have to get so dressed up. I didn't have to go drive or fly somewhere, and I was able to do these meetings. But again, recently, now that I'm back into doing them in person, at least some of them, I realized it's so much more effective. So how are you looking at this? How are you dealing with it?
I think one of the things that I hated the most was the virtual meetings. I'm a people's person, and I think every person that works in an industry has got to be a people's person. We have a very personal connection with our clients, and even our team members or our suppliers that we work with. And it's just the nature of what we do and who we do it for, which makes it very important to have that human touch. And I think that when we've had to do all these virtual meetings, that was missing. It was very difficult to read people's expressions. It's very difficult for you to connect with people. And I think we were all missing that connection. And, as much as possible, I had always tried to avoid having virtual meetings because I really felt that it's impossible to connect with your client virtually. If we had to, we had to. But I think as a result, I felt that I lost the connection with my couples while I was planning virtually for them. And it was kind of a struggle for me because I love that part of my job, meeting and knowing people and connecting with them. And it almost felt like it also gave me a creative block. It started to become very difficult for me to even design weddings because I just felt like I'm craving that, sitting there and just brainstorming and getting to know them and understand them. And it was the same working with my team remotely. We were back in the office the minute they allowed us to get back into the office. And my team felt the same way. It's because, what we do is so intertwined and we're a small team and we all work together. It was very hard for us to connect and work together remotely. So the minute we were able to get back into the office, we just felt like it was, our block was, just lifted because we were able to connect with each other, with our clients. So I'm very happy that hopefully virtual meetings are behind us. We still kind of do them, but it's not, how we were, I would say, last year or a few months ago for sure. So not a fan, very happy to not have to do any Zoom calls anymore.
Right. Well, and when you were talking about, this is my interpretation of what you're saying, you're able to feel more the emotion of what's coming from them and then your own connection with your own creativity and your inspiration. So I remember also from the first conversation, you never want to repeat a design. What do you do now to inspire yourself? And I know you have 3 kids, so I don't know if you have much time to be alone, but what do you do?
I mean, I think for me, I'm starting to have more of, the emptiness syndrome because one of my boys has gone off to university. The second one is following. So I'm having more free time on my hands lately. And my job is great because then it allows me to focus on that and not to think too much of my kids leaving home. But for me, I think the way that I stay inspired is, I love to surround myself with beautiful things. So I really focus on my surroundings. It's very important for me that my home and my studio, is organized and is like I redecorate every few months and, it's a joke around the house and in the studio is like, okay, Zainab is bored. She's going to come in and start to make changes. But I just feel that if you surround yourself with beauty and you're constantly, trying to reinvigorate yourself by, making changes, no matter how subtle they are, whether it's repaint your walls or adding a new accessory, I think that always keeps me invigorated. I'm also an organizational freak. So I like to keep everything super organized. I feel like it helps me think more clearer and it just makes me think better. And I feel that if I'm stressed, it helps me de-stress. And also I love baking. So I get into the kitchen and I start baking.
Geez, I especially resonate with what you're saying about changing the furniture, the surroundings, pictures. I'm sitting here right now in my home office, which also is kind of the other part of it is a hangout room, home theater, stereo, all of that.
Yeah.
And I've got all these pictures and things up and I'm thinking to myself, I should change these around. Yeah, because I put it up and I leave it. I mean, that's
right.
what I love what you're saying. That's.
And just like you said, Andy, it's as simple as rearranging the pictures, and it's a subtle changes, but you feel it. And it's, it's like almost like you don't want your environment to be stagnant. And then, just adding things here and there. And, it's the small things. Like, for example, there's a company that we work with for some of our interior projects, because if you remember, I had just launched my interiors division. And, they do home scents. So, they come and you get to pick a home scent that then they put in your AC. And, once you turn your AC on, it then just spreads the scent throughout your home. And I did that. And it's just, again, a simple thing, engaging your senses. And just the minute I love citrus and like floral scents, the minute I smell that scent at home, I just feel like it awakens something in you.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah, I've got all this aromatherapy that's on my shelf that's in bottles. I just don't do anything with it. Now you're making me, I'm looking back at it. I should pull it out. I think that's a great idea.
Exactly. Yes.
Also, you were writing a third book last time we talked. Did you get through that? Did you finish it?
So yes, my book is almost there. It's been 18 months now, but it's finally here. We are literally going to print in the next couple of days. So it should be ready within the next 6 weeks. It's a very special book to me because it's about basically weddings here in Dubai in the Middle East. I'm very honored that Dubai Tourism has endorsed my book, and I have a foreword from the CEO of Dubai Tourism. And it's like a dream come true for me because I've been wanting to do this book for a while. So I'm very, very excited about it. And I'll send you a copy as soon as it's out.
Oh, please. I would love to. Yeah. And then maybe I'll push you to be on it yet again so we could talk about it. I like that.
Yeah. And, the book is one of the silver linings of COVID. It just allowed me, to sit down and really work on it because otherwise I wouldn't have had the time.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Well, just a couple more questions, Zainab. So what are the challenges that you're now facing? What's the hard part of your work in the event business?
If I'm going to be very honest, Andy, and I think, I speak to so many planners, that are friends of mine from all over the world. And I think we're all struggling with meeting expectations. I think that throughout the pandemic, everyone has suffered on some level, mentally it's been straining for everyone. And I think coming out of that, I just feel that it's become very difficult to meet people's expectations. People have become a little bit more demanding than they used to be. And I think it's just managing that part is a bit of a challenge for me lately. I think everyone's been through so much. Everyone's tired. Everyone has struggled on some level. And I think people are less patient.
That's interesting. Just last week, I was talking with my business partner about our business here. And one thing that came up is exactly that. The expectations seem to have soared, and the demands, I mean, it was already getting like that, for years now. It was like that before the pandemic even hit. But now it's at a completely different level.
Right.
It's really interesting.
Right. And the thing about it is that, we are here to meet and exceed expectations, definitely. But, there's a fine line between, meeting client expectations and then pushing it past the point of, where it gets unrealistic. And I think it's like budget versus expectation as well. I think on some level, people don't really want to spend as much as they used to, but their expectations are not in line with the new budgets that we're working with. I mean, it's always a challenge when it comes to budget versus expectation, but I find that more so today than pre-COVID. And then I just also feel that people's priorities have shifted.
In what way, though?
I think there's a lot more focus on experience now.
Even more.
At the expense of aesthetics.
Oh, huh. Do you have an example of that you've had to deal with?
Like, for example, previously, a lot of my clients would want to allocate a bigger portion of their budget towards, like flowers and decor and how the wedding would look like. Nowadays, I find that they want to focus more on the venue, where the wedding is being held, what kind of experiences their guests are going to be experiencing, the F&B component. They've always been important to people. But now I feel that some people are happy to sacrifice the way the wedding is going to look for these things.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Which, my thing is that it's all important. It's all important. And we should balance. So there's no point in picking the most expensive venue if you're not going to allocate the right budget to making it look beautiful.
Right. Makes sense.
But I think, again, people are putting more focus on experience and how people feel and, how much they're going to enjoy it versus what it's going to look like. Another thing that I've noticed as we've come out of this is that people are becoming more private.
Huh. How does that manifest in the events?
I think, like before, people cared about how events look like on Instagram and creating those Instagrammable moments and having their events shared on social media. I'm getting a lot more clients that are putting their foot down when it comes to sharing their wedding on social media or allowing people to take photos and upload them to, Snapchat or Instagram. People are becoming a lot more private in the sense that this is our wedding. It's our private moment. And we don't want it all over social media. And we want you here to enjoy it and to be there and to be present rather than be focused on, taking videos and photos and uploading them. So whereas before it was all about our weddings being on Instagram, going viral, but now they're becoming more and more private.
Yep, I understand that for sure. Well, Zainab, this has been a great catch-up. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this. And again, I just so admire your work and love having you, here on the show, on the microphone. So thanks for doing this and checking in.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to speak to you. And I look forward to talking to you again. And it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Zainab Alsalih. Be sure to check out her website, which is carousel.ae. That is carousel.ae. On social media for Instagram, it is carousel_weddings_events. On Pinterest, it's carousel events. You can get all of this in the show notes on your cell phone's podcast app or at our website ofthewedingbiz.com. And be sure to share this with friends who you think will enjoy listening to it. That would really help the show, and also give a great review wherever you find your podcast. That would also be very much appreciated. And finally, be sure to subscribe to The Wedding Biz on your podcast app so that you know when a new episode drops. And also follow us particularly on Instagram at The Wedding Biz, and we'll catch you next week.